Greetings ladies and gentlemen, I was shocked when I found this out, but Sony is in the initial stages to create a live action Spider-Man series with Amazon. As most of us know, this is uncharted waters for Sony as they've only created anime series and not very well recently in my opinion. The details we have so far about the series is that it's going to star a hero named Silk. One origin story of Silk is that she was bitten by the same spider as Peter, but once she discovered her power, she went into hiding in an underground bunker to stay safe from a villain. Her abilities are similar to Peter's, with the biggest difference being that she can create her own webs. That would probably save her a lot of money. Her spider sense is also supercharged, enabling her to identify attackers, predict farther threats, but it sacrifices on its reliability. From the information released, it seems like the deal is similar to the pact struck between Marvel and Netflix that led to Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and the horrible Iron Fist. Hopefully it doesn't end as badly as those shows, being cancelled after a season or two. Sony is likely using Amazon for its streaming service, but it's strange that it's not using Disney since it's already a platform for all the Spider-Man movies. If I had to make a guess, it's because Disney would want a bigger cut while Amazon is in desperate need for some premium content. Now, what would they need to do to nail this show? First, good CGI. A lot of networks don't give their shows the backing they need. A clear example is the atrocious CGI for Supergirl. Be blessed if you haven't seen this show, but due to the target audience for the show being younger people, I'm guessing they realized that they can get away with some really bad effects. However, as we now know, Silk has a boatload of abilities that will need the budget to show her cool webs, wall crawling, and creative villains. But don't be worried because this is the Spider-Man universe, definitely has the popularity to justify some Game of Thrones level funding. Next up is the costumes. Every time I think of poor costume design, I think back to when Starfire was shown for Titans. Not only did the actor not match the looks of the character well, but the costume was god awful, looked worse than a costume from a Halloween store. They're gonna need to nail the costume for Silk, since we're gonna hopefully be seeing her in the costume for around 50% of every episode. Of course, I'm not expecting movie level quality work, but with the experience of years creating Spider-Man costumes, hopefully some of that knowledge can be used for the show. Silk has a couple of amazing costume designs working with black, white, and red, although my favorite would probably be her temporary suit, which was made of her own webs. It's gonna be interesting to see how they make that costume. Maybe they'll pull a Green Lantern and just make the costume CG. Speaking of the costumes, the characters wearing them are even more important. After learning about the hero, her powers are already similar to Peter, so we're really gonna need her personality to stand out. A lot of fans already see this issue with Miles and Peter sharing too many similarities, so hopefully Silk is able to be more unique. I'm a little worried since her origin makes her seem like a brainiac just like Peter, but the writers can definitely go outside the bounds of the comics and mix things up. I'm hoping they don't do the cliche and match them up with some powerless sidekick, although a movie or TV show definitely doesn't need a strong supporting cast, but it definitely doesn't hurt. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was a show that nailed its characters, making even the temp characters likable, and that's what I'm hoping for this new series. Now, when we talk about characters, we can't forget about the villains. Every time we get another Spider-Man related hero, getting their own unique villains has been a problem. I mean, if we look at the villain roster of Miles and Peter's, they're pretty much identical. Luckily from the lore, it seems that she has a good mix of classics and fresh new enemies. A few of the new enemies include Cinder, a hot fire giant that is the ruler of a kingdom and works with an organization called the Dark Council. Morlun, if I'm pronouncing that right, is a member of an organization called the Inheritors that are a fusion of humans and animals, so pretty much like Spider-Man. I'm not sure what animals you have to fuse with to look like that, cause the first time I saw him, I thought he was a vampire. Hopefully Sony's able to make these villains look great with the TV show budget, but we won't know until we see. Finally, the story. As a universe with so much going on and deep lore to explore, I definitely don't want this to become a show with a weekly villain to be like The Flash. Although The Flash has great moments, the pacing and dialogue had its fair share of issues. If we don't want to see the same issues, the writers will need to be able to capture our attention, especially when she's not wearing the mask. The Spider-Man game is a great example that balanced the human side with the superhero side, showing the crazy aspects of being a hero but also the challenges without the mask. Hopefully the target audience isn't too young or it's gonna have an impact on the tone and dialogue. I mean, I don't want it to be too serious like some of the DC movies, but also not like Supergirl. Now that's everything we know about the show and Silk. Once we get more details, I'll definitely post more. If you like the video, subscribe and put your own opinion about the character below.